Bienvenue pour un autre programme Tête à Tête. Aujourd'hui, nous causons avec General Manager UCPS qui est avec nous de programme. Bonsoir, Mr. Andre Boise.
Bonjour, merci. Thank you.
Nous pour faire nos interviews en anglais à cause you are more comfortable with the English,
Oui.
right?
Merci, madam. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for inviting me to share with you just some news with regards to UCPS, and also for allowing me and your viewers to listen to me speak in English. My Creole is a little rusty. I'm still working on this, but I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for your listeners for allowing me to speak in English today.
Thank you again for joining us, Mr. Boise. We know that since the blast at CCCL on the 7th of December, things has changed, right? How has this affected your operation? Because you are now the sole supplier of building materials for the nation.
Correct. It's been a blur, if you'd like me to put it bluntly. So since December 7th, we've obviously been gearing towards being in a position to provide the full construction material to the local population, to Seychelles, to the construction industry. It's been very busy. We've had some challenges along the way. UCPS invested quite heavily in a new primary crushing plant, I think about 2 years ago. And in October, November of last year, we commissioned the plant. We had it ready. It was running. And we were doing a good commissioning. We had some good material coming through. And then we had this unfortunate incident that happened on the 7th, which really just, I don't think anybody could have imagined, I think, the consequences of the repercussions effectively of what happened on December 7th.
But business-wise, is it a good thing for you?
Business-wise is good, yes. And I think a lot of people think that UCPS is basically making hay while the sun shines, if that's an expression to use. Business has been good. It's put a lot of pressure on our staff. We're obviously working extended hours. We're looking to try and keep up with the demand for construction material that's out there. But given that we've obviously got various challenges that go with it. We're limited in certain areas of our capacity in terms of being able to produce material. So yes, we've had extensive queues. We've had people queuing. We've had frustrated customers. But generally the customers have been very accommodating in terms of understanding the position that we're currently in. And things have been, although they've been challenging, I think we've been meeting them along the way.
Like you're saying, one of the biggest challenges right now for the customer is queuing of the trucks, unavailability of materials. So how are you dealing with that?
Look, right now we're in a short-term period of reduced supply of materials. The reason for this is because of the availability of explosives. So if I can maybe backtrack, I'll give you some background in terms of saying we put our new primary crushing plant in effect and commissioned in October, November of last year. This has been able to allow us to quadruple our output. So we'd already envisaged before December 7th our vision for UCPS and the vision for growth in terms of saying, look, we need to be ready for extending supply. So this was in place and we were ready to go. Unfortunately, around about the incident of December 7th, we also had some challenges with regards to our secondary crushing plant. Our cone crusher was experiencing some difficulty. After several weeks of attempts to try and understand what the problem was, we identified that there had to be a major overhaul of the plant. So in order to expedite this and to reduce the queues and the waiting time for our customers, I don't think many people know this, but UCPS actually chartered a Boeing 747 specifically for the importation of this equipment. So this took place. Again, it wasn't publicized widely. It was just something that UCPS took upon themselves to say, listen, we want to do this. We need to do this because we need to address the needs for the customer. This refurbishment took place. This full kit out of our cone crusher happened. And basically, once we had it installed, we saw a significant decrease in the backlog and also in relation to the queues that we were having from customers. And we even had good feedback from customers saying, look, things were going much better. Unfortunately, since then, the challenge we have now is in relation to the supply of our explosives. So again, the supplier for explosives, we happen to share the same supplier as CCCL. So, there has been a due process from the supplier to ensure that there is, sufficient storage, handling of the explosives. They want to make sure that they've obviously covered their due diligence on their side to ensure that they're supplying to a customer that effectively knows how to safely store.
So they got to know about what happened at CCCL,
Yeah.
and this is why they had to put this.
And this is where they put all these additional precautions to make sure that, they were trying to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. So we've had to go through quite a lengthy process with our supplier for explosives. And it's been quite critical for us because we've got a limited supply. We're running near the end of our current supply of explosives. And as a result, we've had to effectively ration the explosives that we're using on a weekly basis. The weather also hasn't helped us. And if without going into too much technical detail, the more rain you have or the wetter your conditions, you actually need to use a little bit more explosive to get the desired volume and quantity of material. So the weather also hasn't helped. So we've had a rationing of our explosives in terms of the production of our source rock in the quarry. So this is why of late, in the last month or so, we've seen a reduction in our production at plant. It's not because there's no material available, it's because we've been rationing our explosives to make sure that we can get through to this period. Fortunately, last Thursday, we got confirmation from the supplier that our order has been approved. And so this is now well on way to being procured and sorted. So we are hopeful that within the next 4 weeks, within the next month, that things will return back to normal.
Talking about the explosives, before you were doing your own storage, right? And
Yes.
after December, what happened with the blast? We saw the VP coming in and announcing that you won't be able to store it by yourself. They have to do the temporary storage at Babaon.
Oui.
Is that being implemented?
Yes, that's correct. I think to be clear, since following the incident of December 7th, there was a combined effort from the authorities and also ourselves to ensure that the explosives that we were currently storing were housed in a more suitable location. So this happened immediately after the incident. We have, obviously there were various protocols and things we had to follow, but our existing storage location for the explosives they were relocated, and they're currently located at Boborons. So Boborons, we've obviously got more space. It's a lot more secure of an environment. There's more security, heightened security, but at the same time, it's also a lot more space for us to be able to put sufficient distance between the various storage areas for the various materials that we have. So this already is giving us reduced risk and a bit more security in terms of how we are storing.
But on the other hand, who's paying for the cost of transportation?
Cost of transportation for this has all been borne by UCPS. So it's another very sensitive topic in relation to our costs, because at the same time, we everything is around costs. We're running a business, and at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we can run our business as efficiently and as smoothly as possible. So, we just by pure nature of our business, we have various locations and various sites. We've got a primary crushing plant site, which is located at gate number 7. It's actually on the international airport. So this has got various restrictions with regards to the Seychelles Civil Aviation access controls and security. So there's primary crushing, which is happening at that location. We have a secondary crushing plant, which is located at our Anse Déjeuner, basically our UCPS head office. This is where we take the source rock and we produce the various aggregates that we have. And then we also have a Barmac facility at Providence, which also produces additional materials for us. So we've got really our operations are spread over several sites. All of these obviously incur costs because there's handling, there's transportation of material. This is all coming in part of the price. So this is where we're trying to make sure that we can provide a value product at an affordable price for our customer. And on top of this now with relocation of the explosives, it's an additional, obviously it's a further distance. So there's an additional cost associated with this. Our storage has always been under the supervision with regards to the government of Seychelles, with regards to the police force. So we've, in terms of storage, it's always been a joint storage. We've got 2 keys to the facility. So you have to access it both with both parties present. So that security protocol has always been in place. It's just really been a question of relocating the existing location for the explosives that we had to the new location on Barbarons.
But this is temporary.
It's temporary in terms of the way it's set up. We're obviously engaged with government of Seychelles and also with the various authorities, the Seychelles police force, in relation to looking at a more permanent storage facility for this. So this is currently ongoing with the various authorities to implement that.
Okay. Since 1970, we see that UCPS has been a key role player in the construction industry in Seychelles. And you've been giving out 10% discount, I think, celebrating your anniversary since last year.
Yes, correct.
And it went on. It was supposed to end in December. It went on after the blast and still now. So, I mean, is it to continue? Are you thinking of another reduction to help the people? Talk to us about it.
It's a good question. I think to put perspective, during the times of COVID is when UCPS celebrated their 50th birthday, and they'd been operating for 50 years. We never had the opportunity to be able to celebrate or to be able to showcase UCPS with the people of Seychelles back in COVID times. So we took the opportunity when we were 53 years old to say, let's run a promotion and let's give, let's provide discounted prices. We ran a 10% discounted price offer for 3 months, which was supposed to end, I think probably at the end of June or July. And we took the decision to extend it to the end of the year because we thought, let's just run it through. We're trying to support and help with the reduction in terms of, you read the news every day. It's about reducing the cost of construction. It's reducing the cost of living. We just extended it. We said we'd take it through to the end of the year, and then obviously had this incident on December 7th, which, as I said, changed the whole game. So by rights, we could have increased our price. Not increased our price. We could have put our price back up to what it was come start of the new year. This was always the intention. But I think given the situation, we would have felt it being quite insensitive if we had said, listen, we're going to up our price. I don't think it would have been received very well by the general public. I'll speak very openly and clearly about that. But I think it was also the right thing to do, to say, look, there's no point taking advantage while people are going through a very difficult time. So we took that motion to extend the promotion that we were running at the time, and currently it's running indefinitely. So, we are every day having a review on our cost. There's a cost to business. Every day things are changing. Earlier in the year, PUC increased the price of electricity. They went up by 60 cents. I think this week we heard great news that price of electricity had been reduced down by, I think, 20 cents. So effectively, there's still a 40% increase on costs that UCPS over the years and even through on COVID times have been carrying this cost. So it's really something that we are looking at very closely. It's not something that we want to knee-jerk and jump and say we want to increase price. But given the current circumstances and the cost of doing business, there's going to come to a point where we have to look at it and say, okay, what do we do?
So you don't have any assistance with the government for any concessions to help you to reduce the cost for consumers?
No, currently there's no concession that we're receiving from government. Everything that we're doing is effectively independently as a business. So we're looking to see how do we reduce our own costs? Are we efficient in terms of the way we're doing our work? We are reviewing really from top to bottom and bottom to top to see how best we can reduce our cost, whether that be from trying to reduce our consumption for electricity by going renewable route, putting solar panels in, trying to aid that. We're looking at even ways in terms of trying to reduce our water consumption. We consume a lot of water. And there's times in the year when we have drought, there's no rain. This has a direct impact on us too. So we rely then at those periods of time with regards to supply of water from PUC. And again, there's a cost associated with that. So everywhere we're looking to see how we can reduce cost in order to be more efficient as a business, so we can be more competitive. I think at the end of the day, it's about being competitive. So it's that's where we are in terms of assessing that.
You don't have only quarries on Mahe, but you had one also on Praslin, which I understand is not functional. How are you managing with the production of materials for the inner islands and outer islands?
Okay. The quarry on Praslin is functional. It is a working quarry. What we decided probably middle of last year was that as part of our I won't say cost reduction, but in terms of reviewing our costs within the business, that we would basically put a halt to the operation on Praslin. Another good reason, or another reason that pushed us in that direction, was the quarry was undergoing some repair. So we were waiting for some spare parts to come. So we took that opportunity to kind of shut the quarry down and then see about supplying material directly from Mahe. We'd obviously had the new primary crushing plant up and running, so we were able to generate sufficient material locally on Mahe, and then use our we've obviously got access to marine landing craft that we use for transportation of construction materials to the inner and the outer islands. So we use this as an exercise to kind of see how this would go. So yes, there is truth in the fact that the quarry at the moment is currently not operational. We've obviously been assessing that, but given current circumstances, we've said we're looking to reintroduce the production for quarry rock on Praslin. We're currently testing and commissioning the plant as we speak, so it is operational at the moment. We're just making it run through the dry commissioning and the testing to make sure that everything is right. And then as soon as we get our new supply of explosives, we will then start to reintroduce works on Praslin. So this will also alleviate a lot of the pressure that we have on Mahe with regards to putting material across to Praslin. So this is the pressure we feel at the moment.
So you're not increasing the price
for
Praslin Ladig?
No, this
remains the same.
At the moment, this is as is. There's no increase, or there's no review on costs on that. As I say, we are reviewing costs across the board, so we'll have a look at this. But generally, the pricing that we had on Praslin, this will maintain as what it was before. Yeah.
Mr. Boyce, there has been concern raised in the National Assembly last year regarding pollution in the air for the vicinity of Quarry itself.
Quarry, yeah.
And what is going on about this?
The pollution you talk about, there's probably dust. It's our dust emissions.
Yes.
So there's probably dust. You might have, obviously, dust and noise, I think, are the main, but I think the main area of concern with regards to that is in relation to our dust. Obviously, the nature of the business, it's a quarry. We're producing rock. It goes into a crushing machine. It produces dust. It's a natural byproduct. That's what happens. So we're working closely with Ministry of Environment in terms of how best we can mitigate our dust, our production of dust, if you can put it that way. There's no ways that we are going to eradicate it and totally remove it from the system, but there are ways of mitigating. So we currently are running. We've obviously got a sprinkler system on our site that runs and obviously helps with maintaining and keeping the dust down. But we're investigating with other methods of dust control. There's some good technology out there in the meantime, or out in the market with regards to like mist. I don't know what you call them. They're not misters, but they kind of produce a very, very fine mist that's fine enough to actually capture the dust. Okay. So this is technology that exists, and these are avenues that we're exploring in terms of how to basically revamp and update our current control of dust within within secondary crushing at ADG. Obviously, all these things come at a cost. So again, it's about looking at how best can we implement them with regards to our current system and current setup. But there are ways and means of addressing this, and we're actively involved in looking at the best solutions to mitigate dust control.
Are you planning to relocate at a certain point of time?
I think, look, I think over the years there's been discussion in terms of relocation of the site for UCPS. I think it could go back 20 plus years in terms of looking for a suitable location to relocate UCPS and the quarry activities. I think discussions with government, I think there has been a site that was allocated or in discussion many years back, which was down at Monte Pose. And I think we actually won a tender for this goes far back as 2008. So, but in terms of identifying and relooking at that particular site and other available sites, these discussions haven't really been taken any further. So, there aren't any other options at the moment on the table. Those discussions haven't been anywhere forthcoming. So, although there has been talk about relocating, the question is where. And I think when you talk about relocation, selfishly, it would be nice for UCPS to be relocated in an area where all of our operational activities are in one location, because it would help considerably with regards to our operational costs. And if everything is in one location, we'd reduce our cost on transportation, we'd reduce our cost on double handling of materials. So it would significantly improve our cost for production. So this would be an added advantage to us. The question is, where do you go?
Okay. Maybe another question is 53 years in the business of rock breaking. Are you planning something which will be more sustainable for the environment in the coming years? Because until how long we will be blasting the rocks and doing things this way?
We are an organization that has been around for 54 years. We have gone through various challenging times. But right now, as a business, one, we're looking at how best do we reduce our costs to be more competitive. And associated with that is obviously the area of sustainability. So how do we go into the future knowing that we are providing something that's going to be sustainable in the long term? There's always going to be a need for construction materials. We have to build. I know there's been, we're looking at, there's different avenues. We generate a lot of waste oil from the fact that we have a large, sizable workshop plant in equipment. There's ways of recycling oil. There's discussions in the media at the moment in terms of waste to energy. So there are a lot of exciting prospects that UCPS can contribute to and say, listen, how do we get involved in this space and how do we become more sustainable as a business? So, things like this also just don't happen overnight. They take considerable research, investigation to find out, say, how best can we implement? It's a lot like the evolution of electric vehicles and things like this. I know on sites overseas, there are a lot of electrically operated excavators and things like this. But again, they come at a cost. Are we, Seychelles, in that right space of time to be able to use that technology as we speak right now? And I think, UCPS does have a strong sense of social and corporate responsibility to those around us. We're not generally, can I say, that an organization that wants to be out in the limelight and get what the media attention, but there are things that we do behind the scenes because we like to just get on and get things done, but also help the community and help people where we can. So, we're a very open organization, family run. You can have your opinion about yes, no, however things work out, but we do contribute in ways that people may not be open to, or maybe not understanding in terms of realizing that.
So what would you say to the contractors out there, the pickup drivers out there? Like sometimes I think there are panic buying also, right?
Yeah, I think we experienced a lot of this when this issue first started. So earlier in the year, we did see a huge uptake of people looking for material. And I think there was an element of panic buying because I think people were thinking, maybe we're going to run out of material. And of course, how it runs. You get this panic and there's a rush. It's like going to the shops, everybody rushes, you take everything off the shelf and then there's nothing. But I'd like to, basically, first of all, I'd like to just give a big thank you to our customers who are supporting us. I know we are the lone supplier of material in the island, but at the same time too, we are grateful for the customers who right now are coming to us and saying, look, we need material. I know it's frustrating. I know there have been queues. I've spoken personally to customers, to people who have been in queues, and there's big frustration. But I think generally our customer is very understanding in terms of the situation that we're in, and they understand to say, look, I know right now the current situation is it's a short term, it's short-lived. I'm not saying that when we get our new shipment of explosives and new equipment and material that the queues are going to vanish. I think the queues will still be there, but they will be limited waiting times, if I can put it that way. So I think it'll be a lot more efficient in terms of how we run through. So, we're grateful for our customers. Our customers are our core business. If we didn't have customers, we wouldn't have a base for our business to grow. So, we are grateful for our customers. We have our small customers, the day-to-day guys that live literally from day to day. And this is, they play a big part in our business, from the work that they do. So we've also looked at how to structure our servicing. We've split our delivery days at source for collection of materials. So we've got our smaller customers coming on one day, and then we have our larger corporate customers coming on another day. There's been a twofold, I suppose, advantage of this. Yeah, it's working, and it's working well, and we'll continue to work on this. Again, it's with the input from our customer. If there's anything else we can do that'll help the customer, that will be able to expedite materials, we're open to hear those suggestions. So we have our team on the ground, and so we've taken on board the concerns from customers, and we've done the best we can to see how best we can support in that regard. Mm-hmm. So this is something we're striving really, really hard towards, to make sure that we can provide the best possible service to our customer. And we ain't going to get it wrong. There's days we make mistakes, but we're also a company that'll put our hand up and say, okay, how can we do this better? Mm-hmm. So this is where we're at as a business, and we thankful for our customers who are walking this path with us.
Mr. Andre Boyce, General Manager of UCPS, thank you so much for coming on our show today. We hope everything works out for UCPS and also for the consumers out there.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, and thank you for the opportunity to also share just a bit about what's happening at UCPS. Thank you so much. Grateful, and merci beaucoup.
Thanks again. Merci. Merci pour qu'ils suivent nos programmes aujourd'hui. Nous donnons rendez-vous la prochaine fois. Au revoir.